So the next hand is the first hand we've played on table 2. I've got pocket 8s on in the big blind. The small blind just sat out. The button raises. This is a pretty standard call pre-flop. There's really no reason to 3-bet. I am about 100 big blinds deep with the big blind, or with the button. And the button's raising. He's stealing quite a bit. So he's stealing 40% from the cutoff, 40% from the button, 67% from the small blind. So it's a small sample size, but this tells me that he's probably stolen, 2 out of 5, or I should say, yeah, 2 out of 5 from both the cutoff and the button, and 2 out of 3 from the small blind. Basically, he's pretty active when it comes to stealing, which means that he's going to be stealing a wide range. So there's really no reason for me to 3-bet here and without more of a read. Eights are a difficult hand to play post-flop. So I'm going to call, certainly not folding. I think 8s have way too much value. And the flop comes 6-10 king. So I check, really no reason to lead here, and the villain is going to put out a 50-cent bet. So here's what I have to consider. So first of all, how likely is it that I have the best hand? When I think about this hand from a level 1 perspective, I have third pair. But when I think about it from the perspective of 1, he's going to be raising a really wide range, and 2, he is going to be continuation betting this flop 100% of the time. I think it's fairly likely that I have the best hand. The second thing to consider is, what does my hand look like when I call here? And I would say my hand looks like either a draw or a 10 or a king. So finally, will I be able to show it down? And the thing to consider here is, 1, like, how often am I behind? And if I'm ahead, how likely am I to stay ahead? And there's a certain combination here of, 1, what does my hand look like? And 2, what does he actually have? So when I'm calling here, I'm kind of betting on the fact that he's going to have more undercards than overcards in his range, and more often than not, he's just not going to have hit this range. So I would very, very seldom make this call against someone's under the gun range, but against someone's button opening range. I'm going to call at least one. I call at least once. I think I'm going to both have the best hand more often than not, and be able to get to showdown more often than not. So given what my hand looks like, if he was to bet again here, I would definitely fold, because my hand, like I said, more often than not, looks like a king or a 10. So a king or a 10 are unlikely to fold if he was to bet again. So I would have to give him credit for a pretty good hand here. He could certainly have a draw, but I'm still not willing to. I'm still not willing to try to guess with limited reads. And again, this is a theme that's coming up. Just not willing to take chances with limited reads. So the river is a 4, which changes nothing. He checked the turn pretty quickly. I don't think he has a 10. I think if he had a 10, he would have bet. He might have a very weak king, so I still think I would check fold the river. I think if he was going to double barrel, he would have barreled on the turn. It's very unlikely. It's very unlikely that somebody bets the flop, checks the turn, and bets the river as a bluff. More often than not, people either triple barrel or I should say on a blank, just the way that the board ran out. So the 4's not at all a scare card. I think if the river was an ace, then that would be a good hand for him, a good card for him to bet as a bluff. But as it is, I would probably look to check fold that river. I check, and he checks behind pretty quickly with the ace 7.